a la derrota con Mayweather. El estirar la liga tanto que tú aceptaste ir al peso del que los otros campeones semicompletos como Beterbiev y Kovalev evitaron por años.
All right, here we go.
¿Te hace pensar que ya aquí es el límite o de plano quieres esa revancha y seguir buscando más en este peso?
No, mira, la verdad es que me siento muy bien. Yo en lo personal no pongo ninguna excusa. Creo que no perdí la pelea. Creo que me ganó 4, 5 rounds máximo. En los últimos rounds me fatigué un poco, pero obviamente me siento bien. Creo que hice las cosas como tenía que hacerlas y me siento bien. Vamos a ver, vamos a ir y pensar qué es lo que vamos a hacer, pero me siento bien, no creo que...
Here's the scorecards for anyone who wants to see them.
Perdí algunos rounds, en los últimos rounds me fatigué un poco, creo que por el peso quizás no me sentí al 100%.
So the question was, well, obviously you were lost to Floyd Mayweather, but looking at this fight that you took, that many people in this division that you fought at tonight didn't want anything to do with it. Can you tell us your feelings and what's next for you? So, and the answer from Canelo was, so personally, I'm feeling good. I'm not giving any excuses. I do feel that I won the fight. I think perhaps, maybe I lost 4 or 5 rounds, but I definitely didn't lose the fight. I think I got a little bit tired towards the final rounds, but I felt good. So we'll see what's next. As I say, I don't feel like I lost the fight. Maybe some rounds. Maybe the weight was a slight issue and made me feel not 100% during the fight.
Y creo que estoy buscando, obviamente, las peleas difíciles, subir de peso, no estar en el peso que me siento cómodo, en las 168 libras, que es donde me siento cómodo. Por eso subo de peso, para buscar más retos, que es lo que me gusta, y así es esto, ¿no? Así es el boxeo. Y es lo que estoy buscando, ¿no? La grandeza.
Yes, so I think I'm always going up looking for difficult fights. I went up and looked for this difficult fight. Naturally, I feel good at 168, but I'm always up for challenging. I'm always up for taking on new challenges. But that's boxing. Tonight, I was looking for greatness.
Saúl, ¿piensas que te hizo falta otra estrategia para esta pelea y cómo te sientes sobre la puntuación?
No, como te digo, creo que me ganó 4 o 5 rounds máximo. Al último round me sentí un poco cansado, quizás por el peso. Necesito ir a ver bien la pelea, obviamente, que es lo que tuve que hacer mejor, pero como te digo, creo que en lo personal perdí 4 o 5 rounds máximo.
So the question was, can you tell us a little bit about what you feel about the fight and the way it was scored? And Canelo's answer was, well, I think, as I said, 4 or 5 rounds, I feel like he won maximum. I felt a little bit fatigued going into those final rounds. Perhaps it was because of the weight, but I feel, as I say, that he only won 4 or 5 rounds.
Canelo, buenas noches, Eddie también. Bueno, creo que lo comentaste ya, es de hombres, aceptas tu derrota, lo dijiste en el cuadrilátero, caray, felicidades por eso, ¿no? Porque mucha gente puede decir, no la perdí. Pero ¿qué harías diferente para esta revancha en este mismo peso? Porque seguramente quieres la revancha. ¿Qué harías diferente para todo esto?
Pues no sé, como te digo, hay que ir, ver la pelea y qué es lo que podemos hacer nuevo.
Eddie Reynoso got outboxed 2 weeks straight.
In terms of tonight, when you lost the fight, you gave congratulations. I'd like to give you congratulations for the way you accepted defeat. But in terms of a rematch, what would you do different? And the answer from Canelo was, we'll have to see. I'll have to watch it back and work out what we would need to do differently.
Canelo, el reto sigue, dijiste, esto no se queda así, quisiera que profundizaras en esto. Esta sería la primera pregunta, por favor.
Así es, yo soy una persona muy competitiva. Y esto no se queda así. Me quedan muchos años por delante y voy a regresar muy fuerte. Créanme que voy a regresar muy fuerte.
So the first question was, you obviously mentioned in the ring afterwards that this will not stay this way. Doesn't end here. Can you tell me a little bit? Can you go into more depth about this? Yeah. So as I said, this doesn't end in this way. I think I'm a very competitive person. I've got many years ahead of me, and I'm going to come back stronger.
Y Canelo, no sé si estés de acuerdo conmigo y quizá Eddie quiera opinar acerca de esto. Hoy en el boxeo mundial no hay otra pelea más interesante que la revancha de Canelo Bivol, al menos en mi opinión. ¿Piensan ustedes lo mismo? Y si pueden extender un poco la respuesta en esto.
Sí, sin duda alguna, sí queremos la revancha, como te digo, como dice Saúl también, sentimos que no perdimos la pelea, sí perdimos algunos rounds, pero no creo que hayamos perdido la pelea. No nos gusta buscar excusas, somos mexicanos antes que nada, somos un gran equipo, Saúl es un peleador ganador. Como ganadores pues vamos a ver si hacemos la revancha y ya veremos nosotros como equipo qué es lo que tenemos que mejorar para dar un mejor rendimiento y eso que es muy común, que dicen que qué estrategias, y las estrategias, o sea, las estrategias arriba del ring, al final con una pésima estrategia ganan peleas por un golpe al último round. Entonces creo que hay que reconocer también el trabajo que hizo Bivol. Saúl es un tremendo peleador, es un peleador, un deportista ganador, y como tal vamos a regresar y vamos a regresar fuertes y es todo.
So the question was, would you agree, both of you, Eddie, Saul, that there's no bigger fight in boxing than the rematch with Bivol? And the answer from Eddie was yes, there's no doubt about that. And we want that rematch. We felt that we didn't lose the fight, just some rounds. And, like, we're a strong team and we're fighters, as good Mexicans. We're a good team and we're winners. We want that rematch to see what we could do better. And when you talk about strategies in boxing, people can go in with terrible strategies and win things in the last round. I think you also have to give good credit to Bivol and what he did. But Saul is a winner and he will come back stronger.
Me lo haces de nuevo porque ya se me olvidó.
Sí, con mucho gusto. Sí, para ti es la pelea más importante a nivel mundial, la revancha.
Sí, sin duda. Es lo que quiero y créame que lo vamos a hacer mucho mejor.
Hola, so it was the same question, and the answer was yes, we want it, and we want the rematch, and we're going to do much better in the rematch.
Hola, Canelo, gracias por tu tiempo. When you're on the ring and you're tired and you're exhausted and you feel you have no more energy left to give, what is it that motivates you to give that extra ounce of energy, that extra punch?
No, obviamente mi orgullo. El orgullo, más que nada, es lo que me motiva y es lo que me mantiene todavía más.
So the question was, well, it was in English, so it doesn't have to be translated. So obviously pride keeps me going, that motivation to want to continue fighting, that's what spurs me on.
Canelo, there hasn't been much debate about who won the fight. In the ring, you seem to accept defeat. What is it that you feel the judges missed, and what did you do that you felt should have gotten you the victory tonight?
Yo creo que muchas veces los jueces se dejan impresionar cuando estoy bloqueando los golpes. Muchas veces hago rolling y se dejan impresionar por eso, y creo que eso fue lo que fallé un poco ahí.
So I feel that it was, often judges don't score things that perhaps, or they score things that perhaps they shouldn't. For example, I was blocking shots and I was rolling punches, and I think sometimes that's where the mistake may have been made.
Canelo, your power has been so destructive and effective in recent fights from Kovalev forward. And I know, like in tonight's fight, there were clearly moments where you were, sizing up and trying to just blast him out of there. Was there a point during the fight where you said, this is kind of frustrating to me, like this guy should be out of there by now?
No. Hay que darle crédito a Bivol. Bivol es un peleador que es difícil de golpearlo en la cabeza.
I don't like how all of a sudden he just forgot English.
No, I think you have to give the credit to Bivol there. He's a very difficult fighter to hit around the head area, so I think you have to give him credit.
Canelo, what goes through your mind right now?
Me siento orgulloso porque soy una persona muy competitiva que se sale de su zona de confort para subir a las 175 libras, a otro peso que no es el mío, para buscar lo mejor en mi carrera, ¿no? Me siento orgulloso de lo que estoy haciendo, no me siento avergonzado. ¿Por qué? Porque busco esos retos que muchos no lo hacen. ¿Por qué? Por miedo a perder y yo estoy aquí para buscar esos retos porque es lo que me gusta.
So I'm proud, I'm very proud, and I'm a very competitive person. I've gone up and I've fought at 175. I've gone out of my comfort zone into fight at a weight that's not mine. And there's no shame in that. Others, I'm looking for challenges that others would be scared to take on because they might lose. So that's what I'm here for, and that's what I'm wanting to do.
Y creo que eso es lo que buscan todos, ¿no? El no decir, ya sabemos que va a ganar. Soy una persona que busca los retos, que sabes que es 50-50, y eso es lo que creo que esperan todos, ¿no?
And I think it's about, nobody wants to see fights where people know who's going to win. It's about those 50-50 fights. That's what people want to see.
So, were you hurt at any point in the fight?
No.
And you said that obviously you're chasing greatness, the 175-pound division. This is your second fight. Do you see a full career ahead for you at 175, or are you just focusing one fight at a time and trying to avenge the loss to Bivol first, whether you think the future after that?
Si te ves en un futuro peleando en ese peso de 175.
Pues la verdad es que mi peso donde me siento mejor es en las 168 libras, pero como te digo, vamos a ir y vamos a ver todo porque sí queremos esa revancha.
So my most natural weight, my most comfortable is 168, and that's where I feel best. So we're going to go and see if we can, we're going to take on this rematch.
Ya está.
Una pregunta aquí. Para Canelo y otra para Don Reynoso. Ganaste contra Kovalev. ¿Puedes comparar la experiencia entre las dos peleas? Y Eddie, ¿puede hablar, por favor, de las diferencias entre la preparación de las dos peleas?
Pues la diferencia es de los estilos. Kovalev es un peleador que iba más al frente, trabaja más las piernas, y creo que Bivol es un peleador más técnico, un peleador que trabaja muy bien su distancia, y siempre lo dije en las entrevistas que era un peleador complicado, un peleador de los mejores que saben utilizar su distancia, y creo que hizo un gran trabajo.
So I think, could you tell me about the fight? It's a question for both Eddie and Canelo. Can you tell me about the Kovalev fight that you had, and the difference and the different way that you prepared for that fight? And Eddie's answer was, it's different because we're talking about different styles. Kovalev is someone who is a front foot fighter, good footwork. Bivol is more of a technical fighter who looks to manage distance in a different way. I said before the fight that it was going to be a tough fight, and because he's a fighter that uses his distance really well. So that was the difference in the two fights.
Hey, Canelo, straight back, Dan Rayfield. My question for you, Canelo, is even though you say you were going to have the rematch with Demetrius Bivol in your next fight, two things about that. Do you think that at any point you'll reconsider that and maybe talk to Eddie about going through with the Triple G third fight anyway back to defend your titles at super middleweight? And also, do you think you would be back in September for that next fight, or would you want to maybe take a little bit of a longer break?
Yeah, we're going to go to see what's next, to talk about it, and we let you know.
So no commitment then that you will definitely fight Bivol next?
Eso es lo que quiero, eso es lo que pasa por mi mente ahorita nada más, pero iremos a casa y veremos qué es lo que viene después.
Can you translate that?
Yeah, so we'll this is what we want. We'll see what happens in the future, but we just have to wait and see what's going to happen.
And just one more question, Canelo.
He don't seem like he was paying
What will you
attention.
do tomorrow?
Is that what he said?
Play golf, I think.
Very good, thank you.
So, does this hurt as much as your defeat to Floyd Mayweather?
¿Ah?
Does this hurt as much as your defeat to Floyd Mayweather?
¿Duele tanto como la derrota contra Floyd Mayweather?
No, la verdad es que me siento muy bien, con la frente en alto, di lo mejor de mí. Busco otra categoría, di lo mejor de mí, trato de buscar retos importantes para mi carrera fuera mi zona de confort, y me siento muy bien, me siento orgulloso de lo que estoy haciendo y con la frente en alto.
So no, I don't feel that way. I feel like I can come out of this fight with my head held high because I gave the best of me in a different weight class. I'm looking for challenges in my career that take me out of my comfort zone. So I'm proud and I'm feeling good.
Before now, Golovkin had been your biggest rival. Do you think this is the rivalry that will now define your career?
Could be.
Saul, the judges had you 4-0 up after 4 rounds, meaning that after the other sort of rest of the fight, you'd only won 1 round. Just your thoughts on that?
Sí, en los primeros rounds los jueces ya te tenían como 4-0, pero después a partir de ahí solo ganaste 1 round. ¿Cómo ves la decisión?
No tiene sentido. No tiene sentido. Pero it is what it is.
It doesn't make
Canelo,
sense.
Carolina Sports, right here. You were light on the ropes a lot. Was that part of the strategy to try to get him to come inside? Because you seemed like you were on the ropes a lot, letting him, just giving him kind of the distance that he wasn't coming in the way it seemed like you wanted him to.
Sí, no, me quedaba en las cuerdas, me sentía cómodo ahí, bloqueando.
Here's the scorecard.
Obviamente para descansar un poco.
No, I felt comfortable on the ropes. You know, I was there and I was able to, you know, to take shots and to block them, and I felt really comfortable there.
Saúl, la última vez que perdiste fue en el 2013, como bien comentaba mi compañero. Ahora, ya que tienes más edad, ¿qué tanto ayuda la madurez que tienes para asimilar esa derrota?
No, como te digo, con la frente en alto. Estoy buscando en otros pesos. Obviamente retos importantes para mi carrera y en otros pesos, fuera de mi zona de confort. En mi peso les gané a todos los campeones, ahora subo a otra división. Como te digo, me siento bien y
¿Fuiste competitivo?
Lo hice muy bien para mí, como te digo, gané con la frente en alto y no me avergüenzo de nada, me siento orgulloso de lo que estoy haciendo.
So the question was, the last time you tasted defeat was in 2013. Now you're older. Does that maturity help you to overcome this defeat? No, I feel good. I feel like, as I said before, I can keep my head up. I'm looking for challenges in different weight classes. So I'm looking to make big steps and do, you know, huge things in my career outside of my comfort zone. So I believe that, you know, I did well. I'm doing things outside of my division, and as I say, I thought I won. So there's no shame in doing what I did. You know, I'm proud of what I've achieved.
Michelle.
Hi, Canelo. I just spoke with Demetrius Bivol and Vadim just now, and they said that the only way they would go through with a rematch is if you renegotiated the terms that they initially signed to, because they just did it for an opportunity. Are you willing to do that?
We'll see.
Mike Hoppinger, ESPN. Canelo, you know, you said earlier that you were a little
Did
tired.
they just ignore her whole question?
Do you think that was because of the added weight? I mean, you said your 168 is your best weight, and do you think that hurt you in the fight, the extra weight?
Te dijiste que te sentiste un poco fatigado por entrando en los últimos rounds. ¿Crees que fue el motivo de esto, fue el peso en que estabas perdiendo?
Quizás sí. No lo sé.
Maybe it was. I don't know.
And also, obviously, you had barely lost a round since the Gennady-Golovkin rematch in 2018, and you're cruising past all these really good fighters. Do you think it's going to make you an even better fighter now, having to go through a rematch, try to avenge a loss? That this is going to push you to new heights?
Sí, obviamente desde la pelea con Triple G 2008 casi no pierdes un round y has ganado fácilmente, pero el hecho que tuviste que trabajar mucho hoy va a significar que vas a aprender mucho, vas a ser un peleador mejor.
Sí, siempre me aprendo y siempre me gusta aprender de todo. Hoy aprendí mucho y lo voy a mostrar en las siguientes peleas.
Yeah, I always like to learn from things. Today I feel like I learned a lot, and I'm going to show you this in the upcoming fights.
And lastly, obviously there's a lot of talk about the PBC side with Charlo and Benavidez. You said you didn't want to fight those guys because they didn't have a title. And in hindsight, I guess, do you feel comfortable knowing that you took on the toughest challenge and went toward the fire at a higher weight against who's considered a better fighter?
Sí, obviamente hablamos un poco de la charla de PBC. Charlo, Benavidez, que dijiste que no querías esa pelea porque no tienen títulos, pero pensando en esta hora, ¿piensas que fue la decisión correcta ya de buscar esta pelea, que más difícil?
Sí, era lo que queríamos y como te digo, me siento orgulloso de salirme de mi zona de confort y buscar estos retos importantes para mi carrera.
Yeah, as I said before, I think it's really important, for me to get out of my comfort zone and look to take on these challenges in my career.
Radio Raheem, you said that you believe you won the fight now. During the fight, was there any point in which you thought you might be behind on the scorecards?
No.
And if you had known you were behind on the scorecards, would you have fought any differently?
More aggressive, I think.
Canelo, un mensaje para México. México estuvo paralizado, como dicen, y los perros salieron a las calles. ¿Qué mensaje le dices del corazón? Porque tú lo dijiste, yo represento a México y México tiene que estar contigo en las buenas y en las malas.
Pues que así es esto, se gana, se pierde, pero con mucho orgullo represento a mi país, hice lo que tenía que hacer, hice lo mejor, di lo mejor de mí, con mucho orgullo lo hago, vamos a regresar más fuertes y que gracias por todo su apoyo.
El mensaje sería atreverse aunque sea difícil.
Así es, siempre hay que buscar más y sin miedo al éxito.
So the question was, can you give us a message to people in Mexico? Because obviously Mexico is completely paralyzed. People watching this fight, and you said as a good Mexican, you represent them. Can you a message for them? My message is that this is boxing. You win, sometimes you lose. I gave the best version of myself, and I'll come back stronger. And I'm pleased to have your support with me.
Guys, that's all the questions. Thank you very much for your support tonight, and thank you, Sal.
Damn. They just ended very abruptly. Well, so let's talk. Let's just digest everything a little bit here. Let me pull up some highlights for you. While I'm pulling up the highlights, here are the scorecards. Here, let me move this over here for you. We're going to go over my scorecard. We got about 15 minutes or so left in the show. I don't feel too good about this. So if you look, the judges' scorecards, Tim Cheatham, Dave Moretti, Steve Weisfeld. These are very well-known boxing judges. The referee was Russell Mora. They all had it identical. Now let's compare cards. As you can see, which I completely disagree with, all three judges gave the first 4 rounds to Canelo. I don't know about that. That ain't, no. Now, my card here, let me tell you what rounds I gave Canelo. I gave rounds 1, 3, 6, 9, and 12 to Canelo. Obviously, Bivol 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11. Now, we're not always supposed to agree. We're not going to agree all the time. This is my card. We sat here and did a live stream. Judges look for all kind of different things. Some judges may not like jabs. Some judges may like aggression. Some judges may not. They're like, he just punching in the arms. Me, I judge by, in men's boxing, women's boxing, 2-minute rounds, but in men's boxing, I judge by the minute. So whoever wins 2 out of 3 minutes wins the round. Simple shit. I'm not obviously persuaded by crowd noise and all of that stuff because I'm not at the fight. But nonetheless, no matter how you cut it, Demetrius Bivol won the fight. But to look at the first, the second half of the fight, pretty much what, basically they didn't give Bivol no early rounds. It's crazy. None of the first 4 rounds. But it is what it is, at least the man didn't get robbed, At least it wasn't a 115, 113 the other way, because if I would have heard that, my heart would have dropped. So even though, we may not fully agree with the card, still, the right man won. But now the whole division between 160 to 175 has just been blown up. For example, let's go look at it. You got Jermell Charlo taking on Mashoud Salusky. He was supposed to fight Munguia. He was in the running to get Canelo. Everything's just all fucked up now. I don't even know where to start. So I guess let's start with the rematch. If the rematch were to happen, it would be in September. Canelo was saying pretty much he wants to go directly into it. But Bivol's team is like, nah, we want a better deal for the rematch. You can't really blame them. They want to make some more money. I'm interested to see what the pay-per-view buys for this fight's going to do. By the way, I had a feeling that Canelo was going to lose. Take your time out. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't. We're going to be here next week for Jermell Charlo taking on Browne Castano. And just so happens, Floyd Mayweather fights next week. So, I've been covering Demetrius Bivol for quite some time. 20-0 with 11 KOs, years in fact. And what you see here is he's a boxer. He first really made his debut on the scenes, on American scene, you know, HBO card where he knocked out Trent Broadhurst. I don't remember what the Cedric Agnew fight card was on. He was a main event Kathy Duva fighter under the same promotional banner as Sergey Kovalev for a little while. Isaac Sullivan Barrera, Isaac Chilemba, Jean Pascal, Joe Smith Jr., who's the WBO champion at 175, fighting Artur Beterbiev, WBC IBF champion, Ring Magazine at 175 on June the 18th. The goal for Canelo in a perfect world, as we talked about in the build-up to the fight, was for if Canelo was to beat Bivol tonight, he would go on to fight Golovkin in the third match in September. In December, he would fight John Ryder over in the UK. And then Eddie Hearn confirmed it, the promoter of Canelo Alvarez right now. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing confirmed, what was it, yesterday? No, was it after today? He was talking to AK and Barack that the goal would be to fight for Undisputed at 175 next year in May. So Canelo would have had the chance to be undisputed in two divisions simultaneously if he was to win next May. And well, if he would have kept on winning tonight and on and up to next May. But now the plans are all messed up. And you got fighters like Jermell Charlo, you know, seemingly posting distraught shit on, you know, social media. Oh my fucking God, what he posted. Terrence Crawford saying now we know who the #1 pound for pound fighter is. But really you can't say that because Canelo, in my personal opinion, didn't belong at 175 pounds. I never really looked at the win over Sergey Kovalev as like, yo, this is like he can hang up here because that Kovalev was damaged goods. He was the bent can with no label. You know, that they like marked down, put like 99 cents on the like he wasn't the same dude, you know. Andre Ward has his soul, or the vodka, or that woman who sued him because he, you know, don't get me started. But I'm not mad at Canelo or upset that he lost. I'm just like, you know, like he dared to be great, as they say. You see what I'm saying? Like we need more fighters taking chances like that and doing, you know, and doing shit like that. It's almost like, you know, wondering what would have happened if Floyd Mayweather would have met Golovkin at 154, I mean, at 160. You know, before Canelo and Golovkin had fought. Or what if Mayweather had came back to fight Canelo, you know, when Canelo had went up to 160 or fighting at Canelo weight 155. You know, sometimes weight classes are for a reason. And with this guy right here, Demetrius Bivol, as I've said many times, is all he did was eat, sleep, breathe boxing since he could remember. No drinking from what we understand. No, like he looks like that's all he does is do boxing and work out. You know, and he got outboxed, and Canelo's power or the little tricks that he's used just didn't work for him. You know, Canelo numerous times during the fight, you would see him just hanging out on the ropes, looking for Demetrius Bivol to try to, you know, to get too overzealous to try to stop him and get caught with some shit. But what Bivol would do, keep jabbing to the body, back up. You know, Canelo would try to lunge with something and Bivol would just, you know, make him miss and keep it in the middle of the ring. He just got outboxed. He got outclassed. It happens. Now, I understand even right now as we speak, and especially the next, you know, several months, you're going to see videos of social media content, you know, Twitter memes. Oh, look, he got beat up by this dude. And these people don't be really knowing nothing about boxing. And more importantly, they just want to create headlines and content. You see what I'm saying? But it is what it is. What's wrong with my chat? Oh, there it is. So, you know, in a rematch, listen, my personal opinion, he needs to stay away from that dude. And also, what's this saying Canelo thinking that he won? He does have to go back and watch the tape because he didn't win this fight. Bivol does have very good, defense as well. I mean, the dude is good. Like I said, these fights against Umar Salamov, Craig Richards, who's fighting, in a couple of weeks, Lennon Castillo, the Joe Smith Jr. fight and the Pascal fight, all right, but they're not exciting fights. He's not a guy that's known to be going out there getting a whole bunch of knockouts and, all kind of antics in and outside the ring. He's a boxer. But now it's just like, do you give Golovkin now a better chance to beat Canelo if they were to fight? So say, for example, if Canelo says, you know what? I'm going to keep my belt at 168. I'm still champion down there. I'm never going back up to 175. I'm going to stay down here.
How dare you?
Thanks, Angel. Bivol is about to be partying in that mask. What are you talking about? You drunk? Thanks for the super chat. So Canelo's still the man at 168 pounds. But now Golovkin did have some issues with Murata, but I don't really rate Murata that highly. We did a video on that if you don't know. But now, I mean, how do you look at that fight going? Golovkin is old now. Old man Golovkin. And if the fight takes place, it would take place at 168 pounds. For some reason, I just don't think that it's in Canelo's best interest to go after a rematch with Demetrius Bivol. I think he will lose again. What can he do differently in the rematch? What can he do differently in the rematch? I just don't see anything. Now, as it stacks up right now at 168 pounds, Canelo doesn't have a mandatory as of yet. So he can fight Golovkin, and then he can still fight John Ryder in the UK because he's always said he wants to fight in the UK. Get those 2 wins, build up his confidence, go for Demetrius Bivol next Cinco de Mayo. You see what I'm saying? And then, of course, don't be surprised if they try to catch weight him or some old shit like that. Because you have David Lemieux and David Benavidez who are going to be taking on, going to be fighting each other in a couple of weeks, May the 21st. That's going to be for the WBC interim to be the mandatory for Canelo. But don't be surprised if Canelo is made the WBC franchise champion, which makes him immune, to say the least, against mandatories. He won't have no mandatory obligation. By the way, down below the description box is the WBC channels app. Yes, the WBC, the World Boxing Council, has an app powered by the Vive Network. Links to the Roku, Android, Apple, right down below. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at T Street Controversies. This is it right here. It's my Twitter. Yeah, here we are. I put the link in the chat. So I think that's a solid plan for Canelo.
How dare you?
Thanks for the super chat. Did you hear the Mexican crowd boo Canelo? They were booing. Yeah, why were they booing? Because he lost, or were they booing him? Who was at the fight? I think that's a good path for Canelo. Fight, only go to 175 for the Bivol rematch if you really, really want it. But I say fight Golovkin in September, build some confidence up, because I still believe he can beat Golovkin. I had it 1-1, in the other 2 fights. Fight John Ryder in London, UK, build yourself back up, and then that's going to be your mandatory obligation at 168. Keep your belt. And then next May, try to go after Bivol. And then maybe Bivol will be undisputed champion by that time, or the winner of, at 175, Bivol, Bertabiev, Joe Smith, Canelo can still win that way. But for some reason, I don't see the Bivol rematch being next, because 2 back-to-back losses for Canelo could be devastating, even though he'll always be a star. I'm just saying. With that being said, we're going to get up out of here. Thanks for watching. I've been covering boxing all day, so I need a nap, and I'm really disappointed I didn't get a chance to watch UFC yet. I guess I'm going to take a nap, watch that, then cook for the mothers in my life. I'm making leg of lamb and some lobster tails. I'll be posting that on my social media. What up, bro? I haven't seen you in the best. I don't even know how to pronounce your name. Ed Bis the sickest. Even when the judges get the right call, they still don't do their job correctly. 115, 113 is a joke. I gave Canelo 2-3 rounds at best. I had a more of a 116, 112 type deal, but hey, I get you. I get you. We're going to be doing another recap follow-up on this, on Canelo versus Bivol, on Tuesday in a couple of days. Let everything settle down a little bit. Also, thank you for liking the video and subscribing. You know, they're really helping us out. What else? In a rematch.
How dare you?
What up, Johnny boy? In a rematch, Canelo gets wild trying to hurt Bivol and probably walks into a huge punch and winds up on the canvas. Rematch, not a good idea. You think it's conditioning or stamina maybe he has to work on? Something's going wrong there, you know? But me, I just don't think he has the boxing ability. I think he would have to rely on like a power punch. And it doesn't seem as though his power has really carried up to 175 pounds, maybe 168, but I'm not sure about 175. You can't just go around keep beating up people's arms. Thanks for watching though, guys, seriously. I got to get up out of here, and please like the video before you go. That's going to really help me out. And see you guys in a couple of days.